Hey everybody, and welcome back to another Max Velocity weather forecast. And in today's forecast, we'll be breaking down multiple winter storms that'll be impacting the United States over the next couple of weeks, and these will bring tons of problems, including very heavy snowfall that'll lead to feet of snow in some areas. In addition to this, we'll be watching for multiple cooldowns and the threat of severe weather in parts of the United States. I'll be giving you the latest breakdown on everything that you need to know in this forecast, and let's begin first with what we're talking about in terms of these winter storms and when they're coming. Before I show you that, I did want to show you the amount of snowfall that the European model is indicating that will fall over the next 14 days. Now, granted, this is an estimate, and long-term projections are definitely a little bit more uncertain, especially like 10 to 14 days out. But notice the European model is putting snow in almost every single state in the United States over the next 10 to 14 days. And these darker shades that you're seeing, like purple and even closer to like orange over here, that's representing feet of snowfall across areas like the Midwest, the Northeast. So this is what we're going to be talking about basically this entire forecast, is who's going to be seeing snow over the next several days and what your chances are across the United States. Speaking of chances of snow, this is the European ensemble, and what this is showing is basically our chances of 1 inch of snow or greater. That means a cumulative snowfall in a 24-hour period. And notice this is Friday. We actually have about 100% chance of seeing that across areas like southwest Kansas and as well as the Oklahoma Panhandle. Some areas even in Arkansas will see a little bit of snow, but the chances of seeing an inch or greater are much lower. But notice as this goes into motion throughout the weekend, our chances really ramp up on the East Coast, where actually upwards of a foot of snow will be possible in areas like Pennsylvania, New England area, New York. Those areas will be under the gun for a lot of snow this weekend. And then once we go into next week, there will even be a larger winter storm that the European model is picking out right now. And notice how large this thing is. There's a chance of snow stretching from central and north Texas all the way back into Canada with one singular winter storm, which is just crazy to think about. And this will likely be our largest storm thus far in 2024. It's undoubtedly going to be that, just due to how large and strong this storm will be. And I'll be showing you more on that here in just a second. Notice as we go into Wednesday of next week, this continues to move to the north and east, and then we'll be watching for a chance of snow perhaps going closer to like Saturday or Sunday of the following weekend, but that stuff becomes a lot more uncertain by then. All right, let's talk more about the winter storms that are upcoming. What's the timing looking like? How much snow will we see with each of these storms? And let's first begin with the next few days. So right now, again, we're gonna have a little winter weather event happen in the central and southern plains. Once we go into Friday morning, this will not be anything too crazy. It's gonna bring a few inches of snow to parts of Kansas and northwest Oklahoma, but areas like Arkansas and eastern Oklahoma, you might see a coating to an inch of snow. It's not gonna be much. It's not gonna be anything to be panicking about by any means, but it's something to maybe be on the eye about going into Friday morning. And then once we go into Friday afternoon and evening, showers and storms will rumble their way across the Gulf Coast. I can't rule out an isolated severe storm, but it's gonna be a low threat overall. By the time we go into Saturday, that's when things change a lot and they get pretty interesting overall. Notice this as we go into Saturday morning. We're actually gonna have two different systems here, one of which will be back over in the Midwest, and this is gonna be a little clipper system. That sometimes happens here once we go into January and February. We get these little systems that come out of Canada. That's basically what we're looking at here, and we'll be looking at some lake effect snow and some very light snow across areas like Minnesota, Wisconsin, Indiana, as well as back through Michigan. Now on the flip side of things, we have a low pressure system back over on the East Coast, and this will be the one to watch for going into Saturday night into Sunday, because it's going to be dumping heavy snowfall across areas in the mid-Atlantic and back through the Northeast. So this is going into the afternoon and evening hours. Notice the heavy snowfall moving through Pennsylvania, eventually through New York and back into New England as we go into Sunday morning. I'll be showing you more detail on this here in just a second. Once we go into Monday into Tuesday, we have a new storm that develops, and this one by far will probably be one of the largest storms that we've seen over the last few months. I mean, this thing is just massive by the looks of it on the European model. Showers and storms stretching across a massive area, stretching from Kansas back into the southeast, including Florida. This will bring the threat of severe weather both Monday and Tuesday to the Gulf Coast, with damaging winds and a few tornadoes being possible. That'll be right along the Gulf Coast, so southeast Texas back into the Florida Panhandle. Then we'll be watching for the potential for a winter storm as we go into Tuesday afternoon. This will be something to watch for across areas in the Midwest and the Ohio Valley. Notice how strong this low pressure system gets and how large the snowfield is. And it's also, if we do see this, it's going to be very heavy snowfall across the Midwest. So that'll lead to heavy snowfall, leading to very high amounts of snow as well across these areas. So keep that in mind. We'll be watching for that very closely. There is still some uncertainty on where it tracks, but it's becoming more and more likely that there will be snow in the Midwest as we go into early next week. Here's a closer look of the timing with winter storm number 1, and I'll show show you the second one here in a few minutes. That's the one that's going to be impacting the Midwest. So beginning with the first one, this is going into Saturday around 9 in the morning. Some snow showers will begin across southern Ohio back into West Virginia. We'll see a little bit of light snow over in Indiana and Michigan, but that's not a winter storm by any means. Once we go to Saturday afternoon, that snow moves into Pennsylvania. Heavy snowfall will be possible during Saturday afternoon into the evening hours across Pennsylvania and back through New York. Notice how heavy it gets as we go closer to about 6 to 7 o'clock on Saturday. And eventually, as we get closer to the overnight hours, showers will continue across areas in New Jersey, with a little transition possible in the New York City area to a rain-snow mix, but I don't foresee any accumulation in New York City, at least as of right now. It's still possible, but it's a low chance overall. Now, as we go further to the north and east, we'll be talking about snowfall again across New England. Notice as we go into Sunday overnight, we'll be watching for moderate to heavy snowfall across New England, and this will be what we're going to be watching for. The heaviest of the snowfall will fall closer to the low pressure system, so Massachusetts, Rhode Island, Connecticut. As long as it's cold enough, there will be some heavy snowfall there that will lead to some heavy precipitation, basically meaning, again, some high snowfall totals. Notice in New Hampshire and Vermont as well, there will be some light to moderate snowfall there as well. Once we go into around 6 in the morning on Sunday, that snow continues, and it will continue most of Sunday, and it will start to taper off as we go into late Sunday night into Monday morning. Now, what does the ensemble show us in terms of the probabilities of seeing greater than 4 inches of snow in a 24-hour period? Well, here's the chances right now. Actually, pretty high chances if you're back over in eastern Pennsylvania, around 80 to 90%. That also includes central and southern Pennsylvania as we go into late Saturday night to Sunday morning. Chances are also pretty high as we go into southern New England, around 80 to 90% across all of Massachusetts, Connecticut, and Rhode Island. Parts of southern New Hampshire and Vermont in that same picture. So again, high probabilities that there will be greater than 4 inches of snow at the bare minimum, but I would expect a bit more than that, at least with the current scenario that's in place. This is what the European model is showing in terms of snowfall totals, between 4 to 8 inches of snow, pretty much widespread from Pennsylvania back into New England. Some areas might pick up as much as 10 to 16 inches of snow, but again, we're still a few days out. Things might change a little bit with the snowfall totals, depending on how heavy it is and also how cold it is out there across New England. Now let's jump to winter storm number 2. Again, this is the jet stream giving you an idea of these storms. Look how large the storm is as we go into Monday into Tuesday. Again, very strong jet stream, a very deep and trough, by the way, and we'll be watching this move off to the north and northeast into the Midwest as we go into Tuesday. And again, this is going to be bringing that heavy snow potential as we go into Monday night, Tuesday, as well as potentially even Wednesday morning across parts of the Midwest and the Ohio Valley. I do want to stress this because, again, I can't repeat it enough. There is a lot of uncertainty with the current track of this, so keep that in mind. Again, we might see snow in the Midwest. It could shift further east. It could still shift further west since we're still 5 to 7 days out. But the European model has been pretty consistent with putting snowfall across areas like Illinois, Michigan, and even back into Indiana as we go into Tuesday, primarily during the afternoon and evening hours. Once we go to Tuesday night into Wednesday, this system continues to move to the east, but again, a lot of snowfall is going to be possible as we go throughout Tuesday afternoon and evening into the overnight hours into Wednesday morning. So that will be what we're watching for across the Midwest. It's not going to be a super slow moving system, though. That means that the snowfall totals will probably not get above a foot for the most part. There might be a few isolated areas that do, just kind of depends on how slow the system moves. Here's the probabilities of seeing 4 inches of greater of snowfall. Again, we're still a few days out, so this could change, but right now around 70 to 80% chance around Illinois. I would probably put it closer to like 60 to 70% chance since there is still some uncertainty with the track of this. Michigan also in the 70 to 80% range, 60 to 70% across areas like Wisconsin and back even into Missouri. That is really good news if you're looking forward to snowfall. If you're not looking forward to snowfall, really not good news at all. As we go into the snowfall totals from the European model, again, a very early estimate on this. We are looking at probably around maybe 4 to 8 inches of snow. Some isolated areas back up in Canada and northern Michigan might get more if this scenario ends up happening. Make sure you stay tuned, subscribe to the channel, and we will keep you posted with the latest on these winter storms as they evolve.